Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, thanks for stopping by to check out the video. Today's project is going to be related to a little bit of a challenge that we have with a new dog that we just acquired. The dog was a stray that came into our home, and it's turned out actually to be a really good dog, but with one really annoying habit. And that habit is trying to get to our cat's litter box to eat the cat poop. I've never encountered that, but I guess it's not unheard of. There's various theories on why that might be happening, why the dog has a tendency to do that, and we're addressing a lot of things. But the main thing is to keep the dog away from the litter box, which sits in the utility room, and there's a doorway that goes in there. So we're going to build a gate that prevents the dog going in, but allows the cat to get through. And that's what today's project is about. So stick around and I'll show you how we're going to tackle this. All right, so I'm going to show you what actually inspired me to think about building this gate myself. It's primarily because of some parts that I have left over, which actually is part of a previous video where I was building a new set of steps and a landing going from inside the house into the garage at my sister's house. I'll put a link to that video down in the description if you're interested in that. But as part of that video, I had to install a railing. I'm going to show you what I used for that. I bought these off Amazon. This is what was left over from the project at my sister's house. This is just square aluminum hollow stock. And the idea behind this, let's see if I can, is you can build a railing, and these are the uprights or the balusters that I think that's right. I think that's the correct word. But you can space these like every 4 inches or so, and they make a really nice, attractive railing. Well, it occurred to me that, and I have enough of these left over that I'm sure I can make a gate from it and just screw all these together, build a gate. The door itself, it's a 30-inch wide doorway that I need to put the gate onto. And I have a whole bunch of these here. So the idea is I would cut 2 of these, well, slightly under 30 inches to be the top and the bottom rail. And then the idea from there is I can attach the uprights like so. And the way these attach is through these. So these are just little inserts that these uprights go into. And so I would just have to screw these onto the top and bottom rails and then slide my vertical pieces on there. So, and basically I'm just creating a rectangle. Now the other challenge in this is at the corners, I need something to attach these at the corner. And I think I have hardware to do that with as well. I'm going to look in my my own personal hardware store right over here in just a moment. And I'll take you on the trip with me when we do that. But the idea is to have something I can put on these corners that will ensure that this, when this is put together, it's perfectly square. And then, of course, we'll need some hinges. And I think I have those, again, from a past project. I think I have some small hinges left over. And then my other thought was, as far as a latch, I would use something like a cabinet door magnetic latch, like you would see in a kitchen cabinet or a console or something like that. And I think I have maybe one of those laying around, again, from another project. So let's go shopping here in my garage and see what we can find in the way of hardware. Okay, so I think the first thing, I've got I call it brackets and clamps, hinges and knobs, and assorted hardware. It's kind of where everything that doesn't fit into a real clean category goes. So we're going to move this box on top here. Let's get this down. Take it over to the workbench. Oh boy, it's kind of heavy. All right, here we go. So let's look through here and see what we have. It's just a regular set of door hinges, other hardware. Oh, I think this may be the magnetic latch, cabinet door latch. Let's see. Whoops. And it is. So I did have one of these left over. So that can serve as our latch. That I know will work perfect for that need. Let me put my screws back in the box. Actually, I'll put everything back in the box here so we don't lose these things. All right, so that accomplishes that piece. There we go. Now we still need to hunt down some hinges. I'm pretty sure I have some hinges in here. Oh, there they are right there. Let's open this up. See what we've got. I will end up needing 2 of these. All right, so there's some hinges. Oh yeah, I actually have 4 of those. So I think those hinges will work. Got some screws to go with them. So let's set those aside. All right, we'll put our other hinges back into our assorted hardware box. All right, so we have our hinges, have our door latch. We will need something, as I mentioned, that will help us make these corners nice and square. I may have some L brackets that we could screw on the inside here. Let's go back to our hardware store and see what we've got. I think we're going to end up going back to the same box we were just in. Okay, so I didn't find any simple little L brackets, but I did find these. They're corner braces, 3-inch corner braces, and I think that we can take this. The width here is pretty much exactly the width of our aluminum stock. And I think we can just take those and here, let's take one out and see. Okay, so I've taken these out of the package. And what I think we can do is, oh yes, I think that will work great. It gives us 2 holes on the sides to mount screws, plus hole there and there. That will definitely ensure that we have a square gate. And I found a package of 2. Actually, there's another package that's inside the box. So we have 4 of these, which is what we would need. So put this over here, and I'll grab the other 2 and bring those out as well. And I think from a hardware standpoint, we're going to need screws for this. So let's, and since I'm going to be mounting this into aluminum, some self-tapping screws would be good. And I usually keep those on hand. So let me drag another box down and see what we have in the way of self-tapping screws. Another one of my hardware store stashes. I think these are my self-tapping screws. Interesting that it doesn't say they're flathead, which is good. But these are self-tapping. There we go. Ah, yes. And I think that size right there will be perfect. So we've got plenty of those. Well, here's some too that would work. In any event, we've got plenty of self-tapping screws to hold our brackets on. We're probably going to need 30 inches wide. Let's just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7. Oh yeah, we've got just enough of these aluminum stock to make the full gate. So I think we're in business. I think the next step here is we need to cut 2 of these to serve as the top and bottom rails relative to the width of our door. So let's go measure our door just to make sure exactly how wide we want to make these. Okay, so I'm just going to put a tape measure up here. I'm going to want to go to right here. This is where I want the gate to sit, not in here, just because we have a doorknob that sticks out. But we'll go right here. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera there, but it is about 30 3/4. We want to leave a little space on either side, because I will have some, even though they're flathead screws holding on those corner brackets, I do need to allow for that. So that's about 1/8 of an inch. So if we make this 3.5, if we make this 30.5, it should be perfect. That should provide us an allowance for hinges on one side and work out just right. So let's go ahead and cut 2 of these 30.5 inches in length. Okay, so I'm going to measure out 30.5 on 2 of these. Line across that. Now I know where I want to cut. Actually, instead of using the hacksaw, let's use our snap saw. So just need to file the end here a little bit just to make sure these are, the aluminum's nice and soft. Of course, when I used my snap saw, it didn't get an exact square cut. So I'm having to file this down just to square up things so that we have a nice fit when we start putting everything together. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically take what's going to serve as the top rail and one of the outside vertical rails. Now, I mentioned we had these caps, and they just slip inside here. So it gives, besides giving this a nice finished edge, this has a hole in it as well. And so this needs to screw into the top of our top rail. Now we'll do the exact same thing on the bottom rail. So we'll have one of these everywhere we have a vertical piece of stock on both the top and the bottom rail. To do this, we don't really need to screw this outer rail to the side there, now that I think about it, because we are going to be using one of these. And this is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws total. Now, one thing I know about self-tapping screws and thin wall aluminum, which is what this black aluminum tube stock is is that you can easily over torque these self-tapping screws when you're running them in, and they if you over torque them, they will basically not tighten up. So what I want to do, first of all, get this started. And it gets started really easy. So we'll ease that in just like so. And then we're just going to repeat this process. I'm not going to take you through all four corners. We'll do that for the top, and then we'll take our bottom rail and do the exact same thing. And essentially what we'll have is a square. However, the bottom rail is going to be the last thing we do. Before we put the bottom rail on, we're going to want to put the remainder of our vertical rails in and get them attached to this top. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and attach this bracket. We will need this attached. So we can start laying in our vertical pieces. I'm just roughing this in right now. I'm going to have to figure out what kind of spacing I want. Again, I need the cat to get through, but not the dog. The cat's about 12 pounds. The dog's about 20. The dog has kind of a big head. Maybe I'll get him in the video here at some point, if I can corral him long enough. So I'm just kind of eyeballing that at the moment, but I will need to come up with a good spacing. So let me work out the spacing on this, and then I'll bring you right back. Okay, so what I've done is I've just started from this end, and what works out to be really easy is I'm just coming in from the outside 5 inches, and that's using that as a guide for this rail, vertical rail placement, 10 inches for this one, 15, 20, 25, and that pretty much, that gets me really, really close to this being perfectly laid out. The last one is a little over 5, but not enough to matter. This is not trying to be perfect with this. Okay, so that has those in place. We'll take our top rail. I'm just going to lay it here. I'm going to mark where we need to all right. And we're just going to go ahead on this one and screw in our pieces. So we'll set this down. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to do it this way. It's easier to see. Okay, there we go. That's got our bottom rail. That will be the last thing that we mount. But what we're going to do right now is get our vertical pieces in. So there we go. So now all I have to do is get two of my other brackets and put on the corners and screw those in, and we will have, essentially the gate will be completed. Okay, so this is going to be the hinge side. So I'm going to be laying a couple of hinges in here. Let's come down to the top edge of the hinge. Well, let's say 8 inches, and then we'll come up from the bottom. We'll come up 8 inches. Okay, so I got a drill bit that's going to work. Just going to set that down. We'll drill one pilot hole to start for each hinge. Okay, so that's got our hinges. Now just attach these remaining 2 corner brackets, and then we're going to take our gate inside and we're going to mount it. I've brought the gate inside. We have the remaining corner brackets mounted. We have our hinges, which you saw me attach. I did a test fit already just to make sure I knew where I wanted to put this. And basically I just stacked up 3 yardsticks on top of one another to determine how high I wanted the bottom to be off the floor. But at this point, all we have to do is just go ahead and attach the gate here at the hinges. So let me move you around so you can see me how this goes. Our gate opens nicely. Everything seems to fit just exactly how I intended. So now all we need to do is come down about midway, somewhere right in here, and mount a that magnetic door latch that I referred to earlier. So let's do that next. Now, one thing that I've already done, I don't know if that's going to show up, but there is a piece of metal right here. This is aluminum, so a magnet will not work with aluminum. So this magnetic door latch came with a little metal plate that you can screw on to a surface. So that's got that done, easy enough. And then what we're going to do over here, and I've already got 2 holes, pilot holes made that align up with that piece of metal. We're going to be installing this right there, and that should give us a magnetic closure. So let's do that. right. Now let's test this. Perfect. And so there we go. So now our cat can get through and the dog can't. So another project done, all built from just spare parts and hardware laying around in the garage. So I don't really have anything at all invested in this. But again, if you needed a pet gate and you had to go out and buy materials to make one, it would cost more than what one would cost if you just bought it off Amazon or something like that. So again, this was just, I had the parts and the hardware laying around, decided I'd give it a try. So there you go. I would say that the challenge that I put in front of myself to build a gate out of just parts and things laying around the garage worked out pretty well. So pretty happy with it. If you enjoyed the video, greatly appreciate it if you could give it a like, thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I greatly appreciate it if you could do. Cost absolutely nothing. And with that said, hope you have a great rest of the day, great week, and we'll see you again on the next video.